Millions of Americans watched actress Soleil Moon Frye grow up. She landed her first acting gig at 2 years of age and then burst onto the scene as Punky Brewster in 1984.
Now she's a mom of 4 and raising awareness about bacterial meningitis. Dave Davis had the chance to interview her and a pediatrician recently about a new short film they've been working on.
Now, we should say that the project is sponsored by pharmaceutical company GSK.
You know, Soleil, just kind of jumping right in, as I know you ladies are on a timeline here, you know, you've kind of gone acting at 2 years old to advocacy now. What was it about this form of meningitis to you and the victims of it who really spoke to you and said, like, this is what I need to do?
Thank you so much for asking. You know, I have 4 kids, 7, 9, 15, and 17. And when I learned about meningitis B, I really had no idea. I thought it was something that, you know, that kids get, you know, vaccinated for when they're younger. And my 17-year-old's about to go out into the world and looking at schools and traveling and all of that. And so I reached out to my dear friend Shaka. Shaka and I have been friends since we were 14 years old. We literally met at a UB40 concert. And I asked her so many questions, and she has been so incredible in teaching me so much. And she's always been a dear friend that I've reached out to. And being a part of this documentary was really special to me, to learn from these incredible families that touched my life so much and moved me so much. And I think the biggest thing for me was just to be able to have dialogues, to have conversations, you know, to be able to talk to our kids and to ask questions to our doctors, our healthcare providers, and to have this conversation. I think it's important for us to be able to carry on conversations within our own home and with doctors and healthcare providers and friends. I mean, and I'm lucky enough to have a best friend that grew up into a doctor. And so I am fortunate enough to share with the world, and that Lifetime has been so incredible, and our partners at GSK in really helping raise awareness around this.
Dr. Gillen, and I wanted to just toss it right to you. I mean, in terms of this form of meningitis, what do we know about it in terms of its effect, especially on children, and why this has spoken to you and why you wanted to be a part of this?
Yes, great question. And so meningitis is an uncommon, but it's a serious infection that can cause long-term consequences and even death. And it's the 16 to 23-year-olds that are affected by meningitis B. And what 16 to 23-year-olds, healthy, normal 16 to 23-year-olds, are at an increased risk because of their normal behaviors of practically living on top of each other. They share water bottles, they share utensils, they share just about everything. They live in really small shared quarters that puts them at an increased risk.
You know, and you ladies may be aware of this, maybe not. I'm not sure if you ran across this in your short film, but in 2010, Oklahoma, Oologah, Oklahoma, very close to Tulsa, had a brush with meningitis. 2 students died. Jeremiah Mitchell, he had to have facial reconstruction. He lost all of his limbs. And so, Soleil, you know, we've seen it in Oklahoma. Bacterial meningitis has literally, like, killed students within the last 13 years. You've talked to families who have had just terrible outcomes from this, right?
It has been so tragic, you know, and I think one of the biggest things that I've learned through this journey, you know, is literally they will share their story that that they wouldn't have thought it would happen to them, right? You have Keegan, who was such a healthy athlete and, you know, playing multiple sports. And, you know, within a week, he was no longer with his family, you know, throwing the football, and the shock, and you hear story after story, and it is just gut-wrenching. And so thank you for raising awareness around this. And in 2021, still 7 out of 10 17-year-olds in the US had not received 1 dose of meningitis B vaccination. Now, I was very aware that if I didn't know about this, then again, you know, how many people were unaware. And I think the biggest thing, you know, is really that, or at least for me and being a part of this, is being able, like we were talking about, to have these conversations to not be afraid to have conversations with our doctors, to not be afraid to have conversations within our households. Every family is different. Every family is going to make choices for themselves. It's important to be able to have conversations and to, I feel like, normalize conversations where people aren't afraid to talk to their friends and their family and to just have open dialogues. You know, everyone can have perspectives, but at least let's talk about this.
Well, Dr. Gillen and Soleil Moon Frye, thank you so much for taking this time with us. It's called I Never Thought to Ask. It's a short film, and we will have a link on our website where you can go and watch this. Ladies, thank you so much for your time.